the horror box, the ones who rearrange. The first thing I noticed was the spoon. It wasn't where I left it. I always put it bowl side down in the sink, handle toward the wall. That morning, it faced the other way. It shouldn't have mattered, but it did. Then came the toothbrush. It was wet before I'd brushed. I checked the bristles clean, mint scent faintly there, like someone had just used it and rinsed too fast. I live alone. I don't even have guests anymore. I told myself I was tired. I'd been pulling doubles at the clinic, 3 shifts in 4 days. Maybe I'd moved things without thinking. Maybe my memory was sliding. That's what normal people tell themselves. That night, I set a trap, not a serious one, just a subtle check. I lined 3 coffee mugs across the counter, all facing the same direction. I took a picture, went to bed. At 2:47 a.m., the hallway light flicked on. Not bright just enough for the edge of my bedroom door to glow. I held still, listening for footsteps. Nothing. Silence, steady and heavy. When I woke up, the mugs were turned. All of them. Handles pointing outward, like a perfect mirror. My phone photo proved it. Time-stamped. The difference so slight, it made me nauseous. I changed the locks that day. Bought cameras, cheap indoor ones. Pointed them at the kitchen, hallway, bedroom door. Every feed looped to my phone. For a night, I felt safe. At 3:02 a.m., the feeds froze. Each camera glitched, one after another. White static for exactly 8 seconds, then resumed. When I checked the footage later, the clock had skipped that same 8 seconds. Nothing was missing, but the bedsheet was turned inside out. I started hearing tapping after that. Gentle, polite, from behind the closet door. Always 3 knocks. I told myself it was the pipes. Houses make noise, right? But the rhythm was too careful. The next morning, there was mud on my hallway floor. Footprints too narrow for mine. Toes pointed slightly inward, like someone standing wrong on purpose. They stopped halfway to the bedroom and vanished. I scrubbed them clean, but the smell of soil lingered. Damp, metallic. That's when I realized every footprint was the same size, exactly. The same left foot repeated, copied like a stamp. I started sleeping with the lights on. I thought that would help. It didn't. Around 4 a.m., the power died, then came back with the kitchen light dimmer than before, as if it were breathing instead of glowing. The next night, I heard my own voice whisper my name. From the living room, I checked the cameras, nothing moving, but the audio feed caught it. Eli. Just that, close to the mic, slow and deliberate. I called the police. They searched, found no signs of forced entry. They told me to get some rest. The officer smiled when he said it, but I saw his eyes flick toward the vents, just for a second. I moved the cameras higher, added motion sensors. Still, things changed every night. A chair turned, a drawer opened, one sock missing. Every adjustment so subtle, it felt intimate, rehearsed. Then came the smell. Burnt sugar mixed with rust, strongest in the hallway. It lingered near the attic pull string. I hadn't opened that hatch in years. That night, I did. The attic was empty except for insulation dust, and one object placed dead center, a silver key I'd never seen before. No markings, perfectly clean, warm to the touch. When I climbed down, every door in the house was unlocked. I called a locksmith the next morning. He replaced everything, dead bolts, hinges, even the frames. He joked, "If someone's getting in after this, they live here." I didn't laugh. That night, at 2:33 a.m., the motion sensors tripped. Every room at once. I grabbed the bat, ran into the hall. The lights were off again. My phone buzzed. Motion detected, kitchen, hallway, bedroom. I swung at shadows, shouting, but the air felt thick, resistant. The power came back slowly, flickering like a pulse. Everything in the living room had been rearranged just slightly wrong. The couch angled 5 degrees. The rug rotated an inch. On the wall, written small enough to miss, were 4 words in faint pencil. We liked the changes. I tore the wallpaper off, every sheet, every corner. Found nothing underneath except more marks, hundreds of tiny scratches in clusters of 3, like fingernails tracing patterns. I left the house that morning, drove until my hands stopped shaking, slept in my car for 2 nights. When I finally came back, my mailbox was full 12 identical envelopes. Each held a single Polaroid of my kitchen, taken from slightly different angles. My mug, my counter, my handprint on the wall. The timestamps were between 2:47 and 2:55 a.m., the exact minutes my cameras always glitched. I smashed the cameras, threw them in the trash. That night, the tapping started again. Not from the closet this time, from under the bed. 3 knocks, pause, 3 more, then a whisper. We liked the photos. I ran outside, but every window in the house was glowing from within, not light screens. My broken cameras playing live feeds. The view was wrong, though angled as if someone were watching from behind the walls. The next day, I called an inspector. He checked the structure, vents, crawl space. He found something wedged between the insulation tiny black speakers, wired through the house, all connected to a power source that wasn't mine. When he tried to remove one, it played my voice again, recorded from the earlier night. He dropped it, shaking. "You need to leave," he said. "This place isn't wired right." I moved to a friend's spare room. 2 nights later, he found his furniture shifted when he woke. His dog refused to enter the hallway. He told me quietly, "They followed you." I went back one last time to destroy whatever was left. The air smelled stronger burnt sugar and metal. The walls seemed damp. I took a hammer and smashed every outlet. Behind each one was a folded note, sealed with tape. Every note said the same thing: "You notice faster now." The final outlet in the bedroom had a note still warm when I touched it. The handwriting matched mine exactly. I don't remember writing it. It said, "We'll keep you aligned." I burned the house, watched it collapse in on itself like wet paper. But when the fire reached the roof, I saw shapes moving through the smoke, figures walking along the rafters, carefully mirroring each other's steps. That night, I stayed at a motel. The next morning, the chair beside the bed had turned 5 degrees. My toothbrush was wet. I don't bother fighting it anymore. Whoever they are, they're not trying to kill me. They're trying to synchronize me, to make me move, sleep, breathe the way they do. And I can feel it working. Every night, just before I fall asleep, I hear furniture shifting softly in the dark, keeping time. Soon, I won't have to move it back. The house that listened. The first time the locks changed themselves, I thought it was a glitch. My smart lock had been lagging for weeks. But this time, the app showed something I couldn't explain: doors opening at 3:12 a.m. while I was asleep. I live alone. I checked the footage from my door camera, but it was all static for that minute. Just enough time for someone to enter, walk through the hall, and leave. Nothing else was missing. Not yet. The next morning, the lights turned on by themselves. One bulb at a time. Living room first, then kitchen, then hallway. A deliberate sequence, like someone walking through, flipping switches as they passed. I called tech support. They said it was impossible. My home system was local, not remote. No external access. They told me to change my password, but I already had. Twice. That night, my thermostat began rising. 2 degrees. 4. 8. I woke up sweating, my phone lighting up with notifications. Manual override active. When I tried to stop it, the control app locked me out. I unplugged the router, cut the power, sat in silence. Then I heard the clicking soft, irregular, coming from the dead thermostat. Each click in groups of 3, like coded messages. The next morning, I found my front door unlocked again. But not just unlocked. The bolt had been turned from the inside. Someone had been there. I changed every password. I even taped over the cameras. Still, the house wasn't right. The air vents hissed faintly, whispering like someone speaking through static. I tore one open and found a tiny microphone wedged inside the duct. I ripped every vent apart after that, every outlet cover, every light switch. I filled a box with wires, small black lenses, and what looked like motion sensors. None of them were mine. When I took the box outside, every light in the house flickered once, then went dark. My phone vibrated in my pocket. A new notification from my smart system. Welcome home. I froze. The app shouldn't have been active without Wi-Fi. I tried to power off my phone, but the screen stayed on, text appearing across it. We like when you move. I threw it in the sink, poured water over it. Still glowing. The message changed. We like when you listen. That night, the noises started. Scraping in the ceiling, faint clicks from every outlet. The thermostat blinked on and off, even though I'd ripped it out. The house was breathing. I left for a hotel. 3 nights of quiet, no disturbances. Then I woke at 3:12 a.m. to find the TV in the hotel room on, showing a grainy feed of my own living room, empty, but the lights flickering in rhythm. The caption on the feed read, "Come back." I smashed the screen, checked out. But when I drove home to grab my things, the garage door opened by itself before I even parked. The house had been waiting. Inside, every light was on, every faucet running, the hum of electricity louder than I'd ever heard. My devices were lined up on the counterphone, tablet, even my old laptop all powered on with the same message. We heard you leave. The door slammed behind me. My car started itself outside, headlights flashing. I could hear the locks sliding shut one by one, like the house was sealing itself. Then the whisper came back through every vent and outlet. Stay. I tried to break the window, but the glass didn't crack. It flexed like plastic. The air inside felt charged, vibrating. The lights dimmed, then pulsed in a slow heartbeat rhythm. When the police finally arrived hours later, they said the doors were unlocked. Everything was off. My devices were dead. They found me sitting in the dark, holding a power cord that wasn't plugged into anything. I moved out the next day, left everything behind. But last night, in my new apartment, my phone powered on by itself. A single notification glowed at the top of the screen. Syncing with your new address. If you're still here, you're one of us now. Stay weird. Stay awake. The visitors who never knocked. It started 3 weeks ago with a single sound, one sharp thud against my back door at 3:11 a.m. It wasn't wind or an animal. It had rhythm, intent, like someone wanted me to know they were there. The next night it happened twice, then again, same time, same sound. Always 3 knocks, spaced too perfectly apart to be random. I started recording it on my phone, but the sound never appeared in the playback, just silence. By the 5th night, I'd stopped sleeping altogether. I sat by the window with the lights off, staring into my backyard. The motion sensor light flicked on once, just once, but no one was there. The grass was untouched, the snow unbroken. But something glimmered near the door, a small, flat circle of metal. A button, maybe. Not mine. I pocketed it, locked every window, double-checked the doors. I told myself it was a prank, but pranks don't leave footprints shaped like bare toes in fresh frost. The next morning, I found a new mark, a single fingerprint on the inside of the back window. It wasn't mine. That night, I pushed a chair under the doorknob and sat with my back against it, holding my phone like a weapon. 3:11 came and went. No sound. Nothing. I started to breathe again. At 3:14, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Just one word. Quiet. I dropped the phone, but the vibration didn't stop. It kept pulsing, faintly buzzing across the floor until it hit the wall, then went dark. I unplugged every device in the house. I shut off Wi-Fi, took the battery out of my smoke detector, anything to feel in control. Still, I woke the next morning to find my TV on, static. In the reflection, for half a second, I saw movement, something standing behind me, unmoving, head tilted. When I turned around, there was only an open door. The air inside smelled wrong. Not smoke, not rot, something like iron. The button I'd found was gone from my nightstand, and in its place was a small white card. Handwritten on it were 3 words, "We don't knock." That night, I nailed the door shut, every window too. I pushed furniture against the walls, sealed the vents, even taped the peephole. Still, at 3:11, I heard the sound again, 3 soft thuds, this time coming from inside the walls. I pressed my ear to the drywall and heard breathing. Slow, patient, inches away. My lights flickered once. I didn't move. Then the TV clicked on again by itself. Static filled the room, but beneath it was something else. Whispering. Hundreds of voices, layered, muttering in a rhythm that matched the knocks. The words became clearer as the static thinned. "You left the door open." My front door handle began to turn, slowly, silently. I should have run, but I couldn't move. When it stopped, I saw my own reflection in the dark TV again. But my reflection wasn't sitting still. It was standing, facing the door, smiling. I blacked out at some point, and when I woke, the sun was up. The chair was still under the doorknob. Everything seemed normal until I noticed the footprints bare, dusty, leading from the front door to the back. The back door I'd nailed shut was open again. Now, every night, 3:11 comes whether I'm awake or not. Sometimes I hear the breathing. Sometimes it's whispers under the floorboards. But it's always there. They don't need to knock anymore. They're already inside. If you're still listening, you're one of us now. Stay weird. Stay awake. The ones who test the locks. It started with the sound of the back door rattling. Just once, a quick metallic shake. I figured it was the wind, but then it happened again the next night. And the next. Always around 2:14 a.m. Always just one rattle. I started sleeping in the living room, closer to the door, just to prove to myself it was nothing. But every night, right on schedule, the knob would jiggle, like someone testing how quietly they could open it. I called the police on the 4th night. They checked the yard, found no footprints, no signs of forced entry. They told me it was probably raccoons. I nodded, but raccoons don't turn doorknobs. The next morning, I noticed something strange. A small pebble, placed dead center on my welcome mat, perfectly balanced, like it had been set there deliberately. The night after that, there were 2 pebbles, then 3. By the end of the week, I found a perfect line of them running from the porch to the back gate, like breadcrumbs leading away from the house. That same night, the jiggling didn't stop. It turned into steady pressure, the sound of metal flexing, a hinge creaking. I held my breath and stared at the door handle, waiting for it to turn. It didn't, but I heard footsteps retreating into the yard, slow, deliberate, heavy. The next morning, I found muddy prints on the porch. Not boot prints, bare feet. I changed the locks, installed cameras, bought a new deadbolt. But the next night, the back door was wide open. The cameras, all frozen at 2:14 a.m. The footage showed nothing but static, then one single frame of my living room door taken from inside the house. That's when I started finding things inside. A nail on my pillow, a crumpled photo of my own hallway tucked under the rug, Once, a spoon bent into a perfect circle left on the kitchen counter. None of it made sense, but it all felt intentional, like they were communicating. They were showing me what they could do. I stayed up all night after that, lights off, sitting in the dark with a bat in my hand. At 2:14, the door didn't rattle this time. It opened. Just a crack. Enough for a hand, pale, long-fingered, shaking slightly, to slip through and tap the wood 3 times before pulling back. I lunged, threw the door open. Nothing. Only the line of pebbles again, now leading deeper into the woods behind my house. The next morning, I called my brother. He came over with a motion light and helped me reinforce every window. We stayed up together that night. When it happened, he heard it 2-3 taps, exactly the same. He swung the light toward the window. Someone was standing at the tree line, too far to see clearly, but we both noticed the same thing. They were holding something shiny in one hand. I thought it was a knife. My brother said it looked like a key. They stayed there until dawn. When the sun came up, they were gone. We found another pebble on the windowsill, and next to it, a small piece of torn paper with a message written in pencil. We only needed one open door. I left that day, moved in with my brother. 2 weeks later, he called me at 2:16 a.m. I'll never forget his voice. He said, "They're testing my locks now." A van with no plates. The first night I saw it, I didn't think much of it. A white van parked across from my house. Engine off, no lights. I figured it belonged to a contractor working nearby. The second night, it was there again. Same spot. No movement inside, no license plates on the front or back. Just that blank, dull white metal reflecting the streetlights. By the third night, I started to notice a pattern. It always appeared around 11:47 p.m. Never earlier, never later. And it always left a few minutes before dawn. I stopped sleeping. I sat at my window with the lights off, watching. Sometimes I'd catch a faint glow behind the windshield, like someone holding a phone. Other times, I'd see nothing, just that dark shape idling in silence. When I finally called the police, they sent a patrol car. The van was gone by the time they arrived. The officer shrugged, told me to get some rest. But I saw it again the very next night. I tried to film it, but every time I hit record, the footage glitched. The headlights flared too bright. The audio warped into static. The one clip that did save was only 4 seconds long, just enough to see the driver's silhouette turn its head toward me. I bought blackout curtains. I moved my bed to the opposite wall. I even parked my own car in front of the window, hoping to block its view. It didn't matter. The next night, I heard the van pull up closer. It parked right in front of my driveway. No plates, no driver. The windows were tinted so dark, I couldn't see a thing inside. I tried shining a flashlight, and it nothing. The beam just disappeared, swallowed up by the glass. At 3 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "We can see you too." I blocked it immediately. But when I checked the call log, there was no trace of it, not even a time stone. Just blank space where the message should have been. 2 nights later, my neighbor's motion light caught the van again. This time, it was halfway up my driveway. My front camera caught a single still frame before freezing. The back doors of the van slightly open, just enough to see darkness inside. The next morning, tire marks ran all the way to my porch. I called the police again. The dispatcher said they'd send a cruiser. They never did. When I called back, they said there was no record of my first call at all. I stopped going to work. I couldn't leave the house knowing that thing might follow me. I checked every window, every corner. Each night, it returned. Always the same van, always closer. One night, I decided to confront it. I grabbed a bat, went outside, walked straight up to it. I was shaking so badly, I could barely breathe. But when I yanked the back doors open, empty. No seats, no equipment. Just walls lined with hundreds of photos. Every single one was of me, sleeping, eating, standing at the sink, looking out the window. I stumbled backward, gagging. That's when I noticed the last photo pinned dead center. It was taken from behind me, from where I was standing right then. I turned around. The van was gone. I don't know how long I stood there, but when I finally went inside, I found another photo taped to my front door. It was of me standing by the van, staring at the open doors. That was 3 nights ago. I haven't seen the van since. But I hear a low engine idling outside every night around 11:47. And this morning, there was a plain white envelope in my mailbox. Inside was a new photo of my bedroom window, taken from the inside. The silent mailman. It started small, a package I never ordered. No label, no return address. Just my name, written in slanted block letters. Inside was a blank envelope and a single Polaroid of my own front porch. I thought it was a mistake, maybe a neighbor's prank. But then another one arrived the next morning. This time, a photo of me standing at the door, holding the first package. I hadn't seen anyone take it. I started watching for the mailman. Every day, I waited by the window, staring at the road. But no truck ever stopped. No footsteps ever came. The packages just appeared, sitting perfectly centered on my porch, like someone had placed them by hand. One day, I decided to check the timestamps on my security cameras. Between 9:12 and 9:13 a.m., there was a single frame of distortion. No person, no shape, just a flicker, and then the package appeared. I told myself it was a glitch. I even reset the camera. But the next morning, another package arrived, this one containing a small audio recorder. When I pressed play, I heard my own voice asking, "Do you see him yet?" I threw it out, drove to the post office, demanded answers. A clerk looked confused. "We haven't had a mail carrier assigned to your route for months," she said. "Everything's digital now. You're supposed to pick up in person." That night, I replayed the footage from my doorbell cam. In the far distance, at the edge of the cul-de-sac, a tall figure stood motionless. A pale uniform, a cap, his hand raised in a slow, deliberate wave. The next day, I called the police. They said they'd send a car by. No one came. Instead, another package arrived. This time, my own house key taped to the front with a note that read, "You left this in the lock again." I checked. The spare key I kept hidden under the porch mat was gone. My stomach dropped. I changed the locks that night, triple bolted the door, sealed the windows. But somehow, I still woke up to another package waiting. Inside was a map of my neighborhood, my house circled in red. Dozens of red X's surrounded it, all on houses that were now vacant. I hadn't even realized how many neighbors had moved away. I started hearing footsteps outside every morning before dawn. Always the same rhythm. 4 slow steps, a pause, 4 more. Sometimes I'd find faint shoe prints in the dew, always leading toward my mailbox, never away. One night, I caught him on camera, just for a second. His face was blurred, but his body looked off. Limbs too long, angles too sharp. He didn't walk away. He just tilted out of frame like the world had folded around him. The next package was worse. Inside was a Polaroid of me asleep in bed. My window was open, blinds raised halfway. The timestamp matched the night before. I hadn't opened that window in weeks. I left that morning, packed a bag, drove 3 towns over, booked a cheap motel. For the first time in days, I slept. When I woke, there was a package sitting just inside the door. Same handwriting, same perfect placement. I didn't open it. I took it outside and burned it. The flames turned blue, then white. The ashes didn't scatter. They stayed in the shape of the box, a black silhouette on the asphalt. I drove home anyway. Maybe I wanted to face it, or maybe I was too tired to run. The house was silent. No packages. No signs of him. For the first time, it felt almost normal again. Then, around 9:12 a.m., there was a knock. 3 soft taps. I froze. The peephole showed no one. But when I opened the door, there it was. A final package. This one larger than the rest. Inside, there was a uniform. Pale blue. My name stitched above the pocket. At the bottom, folded neatly, was a cap. The note said, "Your route starts tomorrow. You've been promoted." The backyard figures. It started with shadows at dusk. I noticed movement in the backyard while washing dishes, fleeting glimpses, impossible to focus on. At first, I thought it was animals, stray cats, or raccoons. But the shapes were too tall, too deliberate. By nightfall, they returned. Still silent, standing at impossible angles, peering through the blinds. I caught myself holding my breath, trying to convince myself it was imagination. But the next morning, footprints appeared in the grass, too large, evenly spaced, and always vanishing before I could trace them. I began locking every door, installing extra lights, even leaving the blinds closed all day. Still, at night, I would feel them, watching, waiting. The shadows stretched impossibly long under the moonlight, shifting when I wasn't looking, vanishing the instant I blinked. I tried calling the police. Probably teenagers, they said. Go to bed. I knew better. These weren't pranks. They were patient, silent, studying. I noticed the trees nearest the fence had been scratched in patterns, like tally marks counting my nights awake. One night, I set up cameras. I left them running while I hid in the bedroom. When I checked the footage, it showed empty yards, empty streets, nothing moving. But when I replayed it frame by frame, faint figures flickered, appearing closer with each frame. The next night, they multiplied. I could see 3 distinct shapes standing just beyond the fence, perfectly still, almost statuesque. I opened the window for air, and one tilted its head in perfect synchronization with mine. I slammed it shut, heart hammering. I stopped sleeping. I began hearing soft footsteps on the grass, crunching leaves outside my windows, the faint scraping of nails along fence boards. Sometimes a shadow would appear inside the house, in the corner of my eye, before disappearing instantly. I tried lighting the backyard with floodlights. They didn't move. But the next day, my camera footage revealed distortions, shapes bending the light, stretching impossibly to fill the yard. They weren't just present. They were altering perception. I planted motion sensors and alarms. They went off at odd hours. Sometimes no triggers existed at all. The alarms caught nothing. The figures were silent, unseen by all but me. They moved in ways that defied the laws of physics, always just out of reach, always observing. I started documenting everything. Times, movements, patterns. They appeared always between 2 and 4 a.m., sometimes closer to 5. Their presence was a rhythm, a slow invasion of my nights. I realized the entire backyard had become a theater for their cruelty. I tried leaving. I locked the doors, packed a bag, drove to a friend's house. When I returned, the yard looked normal. But footprints reappeared, counting down along the grass toward my back door. It was a game, one I couldn't win. I tried confronting them. I opened the blinds, stepped outside. The air was empty, still, nothing moved. Yet I could feel them circling, always on the periphery of vision. One shape appeared behind me in reflection on the window, mimicking my posture exactly. I began noticing impossible details. Shadows that didn't align with the light. Figures that seemed to vanish into air. Grass bending when I wasn't touching it. A faint hum, almost musical, syncing with my heartbeat, echoing through the fence into my bedroom. I slept with a bat once. I heard crunching outside, careful, measured. When I went to check, nothing. Only footprints stopping at the edge of the patio. No one entered, yet the presence lingered, a feeling of being observed that wouldn't fade. I tried leaving again, permanently. Packed, drove far, stayed with friends. The calls, the texts, the camera alerts never stopped. On the phone, I heard faint crunching, a low hum, the subtle tilting of a voice that wasn't human. They could reach me anywhere. I realized I was trapped in routine, that every movement was being studied, predicted, mirrored. They weren't just outside the house. They had learned my life, my habits, my fears. I could see them in reflections on cars, puddles, anything that showed me to myself. I began responding. Small gestures, lights, sounds, patterns, hoping to confuse them, to throw off their observation. But they adapted instantly. One night, I swear I saw them in my living room, in the corners, stretching impossibly to fill the space without breaking anything. I don't sleep. I watch, I wait. The backyard is no longer a yard. It is a field of observation, a theater of impossibility. The figures move when I'm awake, when I'm distracted, when I close my eyes. I feel their presence behind every wall, every tree, every shadow. Tonight, I hear them again. Soft scraping, deliberate taps on fence posts. I peek through the blinds. Nothing. Yet I know they are there. Always watching. Patient. Waiting. Smiling in ways I cannot see. The backyard is theirs. I am just part of their game.